Big sight, new paint, go, big sight. Y'all know how to, you know, all eyes on me. Roll up in the club, all eyes on me. All eyes on me. You know what? I bet you got it twisted, you don't know who to trust. So many player hating, shit get trying to sound like us. Say they ready for the funk, but I don't think they know it. Straight to the depths of hell is where them cowards going. Well, all you still down, nigga, holler when you see me. And let these devils be sorry for the day they finally freed me. I got a caravan and sick it every time we ride. Hitting motherfuckers up when we pass by. Until I die, live the life of a boss player. Cause even when I'm high,
yo, this is Duma, your hybrid guy. 2022 is over. Done with. Whatever we accomplished is what we accomplished. Question is, what exactly did we accomplish in 2022? We will review the marathon in Reykjavik, Iceland, April. We will go over the ABPU British Championship of Powerlifting in July, the ABPU World Championship in September, and a IPF London, which is the other federation, we'll discuss that at a future time, qualifying event for powerlifting. Those were the main events of 2022. As a reminder, what is a hybrid athlete? So essentially, it's to do two polar opposite events. In my definition, or what I have chosen to do, is to run a marathon and to do powerlifting. That is my truth. This is what I do. Okay. I am good to very good at powerlifting. I am good marathon runner. Just to give you some numbers, so for powerlifting, it's based on your age group, your weight class. Are you equipped or not equipped? Are you basically getting tested or not tested for steroids, whatever? So those are the classification. In my case, I am a classic powerlifter, which is knee sleeves only. So no knee wraps, no equipment. I am also in the 83 kilo category above 50. So I'm considered a master lifter. In my, class, I am, probably, let's say, top 10 percentile. So it's very good. I'm not elite. I don't consider myself elite. I'm not that, top 2% of lifters. My scores, and we'll go over the competition. So I achieved a personal best or personal record of 525 kilos this year. And I ran for a marathon 3 hours, 22 minutes. My best was 2019, 3 hours, 20. So that's where I am. Those numbers basically should allow me to qualify, as in earning my spot at the New York Marathon 2023. So that's part of the plans that we'll have for next year. So it's very good, by whatever people want to define very good. I just know it's not elite. So it's rare, not impossible. There are some great athletes who do hybrid training. By all means, it's not CrossFit. It's just basically I'm taking two competitive, forums and competing as best I can. it's just rare that people are doing both marathons and powerlifting. So that's my thing. This is where I'm, I guess, unique in many ways, but not the only one. I'm just unique, rare. So before hanging out in sky lagoons with thermal water and going seeing the great geysers in Iceland, and also visiting a thermal heated farm in the winter, and then going to see the Gullfoss Falls with magical rainbows. Iceland is at the center of both the tectonic plates separating Americas and Europe, and has this incredible Reykjavik city. But before all that, we had a marathon to run. So if we remember what happened last year, October 21, I ran Manchester Marathon, 4 hours, 17 minutes. It was a complete failure. It was a blowout. I only trained 2 months, just not enough to really get the foundation and the tempo. I struggled with a calf injury most of the year. Long story short, I had a blowout, and it really shook me. I was shook. All right, so let's look at my splits. So the first, 10K, pretty much on target, 5 minutes, kilometer. This is kind of what I wanted to do. Then you'll see around before the halfway mark, it just starts to fall off. Then it gets worse after the hill. So around the 33 kilometers to 18 miles, now I'm in trouble. It was bad. It's just a question of finishing that marathon. The wheels fell off, and it was really difficult. It just took everything out of me. So, if you had time, how do you prepare for a marathon? This is what I do. I'm sharing you my action plan. First and foremost, you need to have a program. You can't just run willy-nilly without a program. 2, you need to lose some kind of weight with the right nutrition. And lastly, you got to prepare mentally for the battle that's going to come up. So I have a program designed by Pavel. He's my coach. He's based in Poland. Phenomenal coach, where every week I receive the plan of action for the upcoming week. I run. He sees all my time splits, everything. Then the following week he adapts the programs, and we just go through the program. So regarding programs, this is only my opinion. Don't overthink it, just do it. Just do the program. You have a coach, let him coach. You be the athlete. You be the runner in this particular case. Be the athlete, let your coach. For nutrition, how do you lose weight? How do you put on weight? What ratios should you have? What muscles? What proteins, carbs? Should you follow the endless amount of diets driven by some Californian guru proclaiming to have, the next diet? Or should you just go back to basics? How is it possible that in the 50s, only 10% of the population was considered obese, and now over 40%, with all this technology, information, fads, diets, this and that? How is that possible? Guyton and Hall, Textbook of Medical Physiology, was written in the 50s. This is a used edition that I bought. I think it's edition 12. There's probably 2 more editions. I just want to buy it used. It is mandatory reading for any medical students in the US who want to go into whatever medicine or biochemistry. It is your textbook 101. It is the foundation of how the body works. Period. Quick disclaimer, I am not a scientist. I'm not involved in medicine whatsoever. Matter of fact, I almost failed my chemistry class at Bishop's College School. Teacher said, "Oh, you work so wonderfully hard." So basically, it felt bad for me, but did pass me. That's the extent of my medical experience. And I'd like to add a quick side note, because it's kind of an issue right now in STEMs. There's a lack of girls, but there was plenty of girls who were excellent in that class. So shout out to BCS girls. When you hear that girls can't do science, it's utter bullshit. Just a quick side note on that. Let's get back to business. So what do I do to prepare for a marathon? What do I do to lose weight in preparation of that marathon? And what do I do when I need to put on muscles in preparation to a powerlifting competition? Well, and I'm not trying to show off, incidentally. Let's look at chapter 71 of the good book regarding dietary balances. And I'm just going to read it. Intake of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins provides energy that can be used to perform various body function or stored for later use. Stability of body weight and composition over long periods requires that a person's energy intake and energy expenditures be balanced. When a person is overfed and energy intake persistently exceeds expenditure, most of the excess energy is stored as fat and body weight increases. Conversely, loss of body mass and starvation occur when energy intake is insufficient to meet the body's metabolic needs. So what does it mean and what do I do? First and foremost, keep it simple. Don't over-engineer, keep it simple. Something that you can follow, something that you can do consistently, because that's the name of the game. I went from 86 kilos to 75 kilos, so lost close to 25 pounds in the run-up of my marathon. It took me 4 months. I essentially split into 2 days that I know I will have a hard training session. And so essentially on those days, I do fix my calories to a certain level. I make sure I get a minimum amount of protein, and then I essentially get enough carbs and fat, but really carbs is the main point. On days that I'm resting and not training as hard, I will do a fasting in the morning for sure, and then I'll have enough protein, and protein is the key thing on my rest days as a recovery to rebuild my muscles. In either days, I try to keep sugar to basically a bare minimum. So you have to cut all sugar, everything that's sugar related, you cut. In many ways, I'm back to the future. Listen to what your mom said. Don't snack in between meals. Eat a balanced diet. Don't stuff yourself. The last pillar of our preparation is the mental preparation. How do I prepare? Both short-term, basically requirements, long-term training. How do you mentally prepare to what's coming up? As a reminder, we're doing an endurance sport. It's French, dur, hard. It's not meant to be easy. It's meant to be hard. That's what it is. Mental preparation. This is where it gets to be interesting. A, you need to be brutally honest with yourself. B, you need to know yourself. What motivates you? Is it going to the beach with the girls? Is it being on stage, getting the fame? Is it getting medals? Or is it something deeper, perhaps a little darker? Is it fear of failure? For me, it is fear of failure. I hate losing more than I like winning. Disappointing myself, disappointing others drives me. So I take everything personally, and I use that to my advantage. Essentially, when it rains, it's dark, you gotta go out, do your run, you've worked 12 hours, you gotta go to the gym for 2 hours. Like, it can't just be something superficial. It has to be the engine inside yourself. And how do you ignite that engine? How do you create that volcano? Both short term, just going out, getting the workout done, and also over periods of months. I mean, the reality is very simple. You're gonna train for 5 months for a one-day event. That's it, on that day. If you're feeling good, you haven't trained, you missed your sleep, you've got issues at home, whatever the case is, it is what it is. The event's happening with or without you. So how do you prepare is key. Now, if we quickly glance at the good book, and forgive me for my pronunciation because I'm going to butcher it, but it says still another physiologic mechanism is very often used to control brain activity. This is to secrete excitatory or inhibitory neurotransmitter hormonal agents into the substance of the brain. These neurohormones often persist for minutes or hours and thereby provide long periods of control that rather than just instantaneous activation or inhibition. Said differently, the top figure is norepinephrine, and that is your instant activation. This is where you create that gangster mode inside of you. Every single slight against you for the whole life, you bring it to that one instant. You bring that rage into that one moment. I typically do that right before I do a lift. I go into my gangster mode. The bottom figure is serotonin, where you can sustain for hours. You can basically block your pain, block whatever feelings. This allows you to do that endurance, those long runs. This allows you basically to train hours and days by activating that. And typically that again is where what I do is I create a different type of slight. This is more, you can't do this. People don't think you're able to do this. This is where there's everybody who doubts you. So I'm able to basically activate that part. And dopamine can do both ways. It can go short-term, long-term. It's just more of a release as basically you think you're going to finish it, or sometime during a long run, it's like I start thinking about food, and this is where like dopamine kind of kicks in to finish the workout. So you have the power to manipulate your mind, short-term, long-term. You have to use whatever you can. It's available. It's right there in front of you. So how do you apply the three foundations, your program, your nutrition, and your mindset into an applied preparation for a marathon or for a powerlift or whatever competition? If you think too far into the future, you're gonna say, oh my God, I won't be able to lose the weight, I won't be able to get the tempo, I won't be able to do this and that. So what I do is really simple. I look at winning the day. Just win the day. Win your nutrition battle. Win your programming. Follow the programming. If the programming means it's a rest day, it's a rest day. it's a recovery run. It means a slow run. If it means we're doing hills and we're going to do 10 sprints, 200 meters uphill, that's a hard workout. Win that workout. But don't confuse a hard workout with the slow recovery because you're feeling behind and you need to be in that middle zone. That middle zone is where you get hurt. So there's no need doing a 10-kilometer recovery run at a fast pace when it's supposed to be a recovery run. Absolutely zero benefit. Now, man was born to run. However, man was not meant to run on asphalt, cement, roads, sidewalks, too much wear and tear on your knees, your back, so on and so forth. The surface is too hard. As much as possible, I run on grass and the track. The track has significant advantages. One, protects, as I mentioned, your knees, ligaments, so on and so forth. And it facilitates your mental strength development. When you're running 20 kilometers at a track, it's essentially close to 55, 60 laps. No music. It's you and the track winning your workout. In preparation of a marathon, it's basically what it needs to be. The marathon will be difficult. You will reach a zone at 21 miles where you will be in pain and you have 5 miles to go. And that's really where the marathon starts. The marathon starts at 21 miles. Your battle is 21 to mile 25. That's where you have to put everything together. Incidentally, this is also where you've completely run out of carbs in your body. And now you need to go into your fat burning as energy. And if you haven't prepared for that, you will be in trouble. What I do during my long runs, running up to a marathon, is I work out fasted, no food in my body since the previous night. And that automatically puts me in a ketozone environment where I have to use fat as energy, and I do that for several weeks before the marathon to prepare myself for mile 21 to 25. That's basically where the battle is won or loss of your marathon. In addition to that, I run 2 half marathons prior to the marathon. I run them ideally, so essentially 2 months before the marathon, and then so I do one, then I do the second one a month before the marathon. It prepares me for a race environment where you want to have some kind of game plan. You want to be disciplined about your game plan. You want to strive to have negative splits, which means to start slowly, then build yourself up and run faster as the race goes on, without being led by the crowd and just the other runners, basically. So you want to develop your own game plan and stick to it. So that's the key thing. The second thing is also from the mindset. You want to be able to learn how to relax in a race where you can focus on your own breathing, your running, and to not spend energy when you don't need to within a race environment. The third aspect also, which is probably the most important, it dictates where you are. Your 2 half marathons indicate where you are. You are what your number says you are. And it eliminates your, but last year I ran a PB and I should be at that level. You are where your half marathon 30 days before says you are. And from there, you gather critical information of how you should potentially run your marathon based on your half marathons. Let's look at the Reykjavik, Iceland spring marathon. It's essentially you go out small hill, then steep, then flat, then along the water. 10K, you come back and do the reverse, and the race starts at 9 o'clock for the marathon. There was really like only 40 runners. It's very quaint. It's a great race. It's a nice environment. People are great. And then there's a half marathon that starts at 11, and there's probably 200 half marathon runners. So again, relatively very small race. And you go back again, the same course, 10K, then your last 10K. And the super fast kind of half marathon should be able to catch up to you on your way back on your last 10K. So that's just strategic information. It's difficult when you run 10K back and forth and back again and forth. So this is why your two half marathons are key. The one that I chose was the hills. It's basically the velodrome where there's 13 laps of 1 mile. So it's 1 mile, circles and circles and circles, again, to work on your mind. So in summary, we went through the achievement of 2022. I presume you want to see some of the medals. Fair enough. So we did 2 half marathons. We did the Iceland marathon, 3 hours 22. We rotated to the British ABPU Championship, which I did win, and also had the British records, but we'll go through a different time, which allowed me to qualify to the World Championship, which also did win. And this is, they don't give medals, they give plaques, incidentally. And then IPF Greater London qualifying event, which will allow me to participate in the British IPF, which is a different federation, and we'll get into some of these details. In addition to that, we discuss what I consider the 3 pillars of training, which is programming, i.e. be the athlete, follow program to the letter, don't overthink it, don't overcoach your coach. 1, 2, nutrition. We went through quite details about Guyton Hall being really the benchmark of nutrition for comparing with any fad diets, thousands of diets available online. Lastly, we also discussed the mindset and how you can activate both short-term and long-term mindset to be in a competitive environment. Lastly, we discuss the nitty-gritty of a marathon, how to prepare for a specific marathon, what I did, and also the course itself and the battles, the inflection points, the decisions throughout the marathon, where it really worked out quite well. I ended up with the 3:22. I was pleased, which in theory should allow me to qualify, and we'll see in February when I make the application to the New York Marathon. So what's next? Next is I will probably combine both the British and World Powerlifting into one video. I'll do the IPF and the key differences between the ABPU or AWPC Federation versus the IPF Federation, why I would consider making a change, largely that after getting some of the records or European records of the WPC, and we'll go through, I guess, the next video. Just the challenge is really to look after a different environment and just competing at my highest level, whatever that is. Thank you for joining.